Now we're finally getting around, guys, to the 2015 Hell in a Cell review. I mistakenly said 2 videos ago that I was going to be reviewing this edition and the last edition, the previous edition of WrestleRant, but I forgot I never reviewed the 2014 installment of Hell in a Cell right here on WrestleRant, so I might as well get around to it right now. Or rather, I talked about 2014 in the previous installment. Today we're talking about the 2015 show, rather. Get my shows mixed up here. But anyway, guys, welcome back to WrestleRant, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, talk about all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking about, obviously, 2015 Hell in a Cell. So a show that I really enjoyed on the whole, for a time in WWE that really wasn't all that exciting. I thought the fall of 2015 pretty much sucked. But Hell in a Cell was a hidden gem. I thought it was a pretty good show. It had some pretty good matches. The middle of the card could have been better, but the opening and closing matches I thought were really solid, really enjoyable, and led to a pretty good show overall. So opening event for the United States Championship, John Cena hosting the U.S. Open Challenge one final time on his way out to go film American Grit for Fox, the first season, or FX, or whatever. So his mystery opponent is none other than the returning Alberto Del Rio. He is introduced by Zeb Coulter, who obviously has history with from years prior. They put those differences aside to form Mex America, which was an atrocious idea, as we would soon learn. But Del Rio is back after being gone from the company for over a year. He comes back, beats Cena in a matter of 8 minutes clean with a kick to the head to pick up his first United States Championship. So the match really wasn't anything special. Definitely wasn't on par with other past outings between Del Rio and Cena. It was fine for what it was. If anything, it was just more about the shock of Del Rio being back and then beating Cena clean to win the championship, which was cool. And as I talked about before, now that Del Rio is pretty much in the doghouse of WWE and the suspension and everything else that's happened, it's a shame to watch this back. It's really sad to watch this back and to think about, like, wow, they really dropped the ball in this moment, because this really could have been a defining moment in the career of Del Rio and really make him into a major superstar for this company, which they failed to do. I mean, he went right back to being just another guy in the roster the very next day. The very next day, people did not give a shit about Del Rio in WWE, which is a shame, like I said, because he has the skills. He's a very good wrestler. The presentation of him on this show, he came off like a fucking star. But beyond that, he was just another guy. But for what it was, though, it was a cool moment to kick off the show for sure. After that, our first of 2 Hell in a Cell matches of the night. Roman Reigns taking on Bray Wyatt to culminate their near 3 to 4 month feud. I forgot what it was. I think it started the Money in the Bank, so a 4-month feud. And a really, really good match. I thought the match between the two at Battleground a few months earlier was not all that exciting. It was just kind of like for a majority of it, it was pretty boring up until the final few minutes and until the interference of Luke Harper. This was the exact opposite. They pretty much got the same time, about 20 to 25 minutes. They made the most of it, and I thought the hardcore elements of the matchup with the chairs, the Singapore canes, the tables, really added to my excitement of the match if they weren't going to go outside of the chamber, or rather the cell. So a really, really good match, and I don't want to say a rare good match from Bray Wyatt, but it seems like it's every once in a while very rare that you see a great Bray Wyatt match. Just it kind of depends on who he works with. And I thought him and Roman Reigns created a gem of a match here. Reigns having a great performance as well that people are really getting behind him for. Even at this point, I know people were booing him left and right throughout 2015, but he got a pretty solid reaction in this show, and especially when he won. So a great win for Roman Reigns that really wanted to see me get behind him in his pursuit of the championship going to Survivor Series. After that, for the WWE Tag Team titles, the New Day successfully defending the gold against the Dudley Boys. The best of the 3 matches that these two teams had against each other in the fall of 2015 is probably the best thing I could say about it. The Night of Champions match was good. The MSG special match was good. This one was slightly better, but still just nothing great. Like, I won't remember these matches years down the line, or even really now, if I had I not watched this pay-per-view back. It was solid. It was a good performance. I really did think the Dudley Boys had the win in the bag and were really going to become the 10-time tag team champions on the show. Obviously not meant to be. I just say that just because Xavier Woods was taken out of the equation, was written out of storylines days earlier on Raw, so they did even the odds for the Dudley Boys to possibly capture the championships on the show. But a little bit of cheating from the New Day led to them retaining the titles, and the Dudley Boys, in the year that they were back with WWE, never once held the championship. So I don't want to say it was a missed opportunity to put the championships on Dudley Boys, because it would have been cool to have them, have their one last reign as champions. But at the same time, the New Day, even back then, were still the hottest thing going in WWE at that point. So I don't know if it would have been good to take the titles off them, only to put them right back on them at some point down the line. But I guess long-term wise, considering they would go on to break the record as the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time, yeah, I guess in breaking that record, it would have made sense to keep the championships on them at this point in their reign. So after that, for the Divas Championship, Charlotte defending against Nikki Bella in a pretty good match, kind of along the same lines as their Night of Champions match, but even better, I thought, just without the interference from Team PCB, Team Bad, Team Bella, Team This, Team That, all the fucking, Divas Revolution triple threat bullshit, the triple threat tag team bullshit we had throughout the majority of the second half of 2015. Thankfully, this was a straight-up standard singles match and last really, really good match that Nikki Bella had on her way out of the company as she dealt with an injury. She wrestled one more match the next night, which was a bit weird. A 6-women tag team match that she won before going under the knife with a surgery for her neck surgery. But anyway, though, still a really good match, a great performance from both Charlotte and Nikki Bella, and pulling on some moves in their arsenal I never would have expected them to. Nikki Bella almost suplexing Charlotte off the top rope, Charlotte landing on her feet, Nikki Bella with a great Alabama slam on the in-ring apron, on the ring apron on the side of the ring, which was cool. Looked like it almost broke Charlotte's neck, but also kind of selling the leg injury, or the back injury rather, from the previous match they had. So some really good psychology here, and one of the better women's matches on the main roster up to that point. After that, for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins defending the gold against Kane, and if Kane lost, then Corporate Kane would be fired from his position in the Authority. Not like anyone really cared to begin with. The whole feud was just, like, I didn't care. No one cared about Demon Kane. I liked the feud because it made sense. I liked the idea of the feud, but the execution was just awful. Seth Rollins was losing pretty much every single fucking week at this point. No one could take him seriously. The match was alright. Rollins carried him to an alright match. He won clean, which was the important thing. But then Kane was gone from TV. I mean, he faced the Wyatt family alongside The Undertaker at Survivor Series, but that was about it. He was gone from TV right after that. So what the fuck was the point? No one gave a shit about him, It was really kind of a waste to do this whole feud, other than an easy win for Seth Rollins. He would get hurt anyway the very next week, so was it really all that worth it? I honestly don't think so. But anyway, for the Intercontinental Championship up next, the fine failure match between KO and Ryback. I thought the Night of Champions match was better. This was alright. KO wins to retain the title. Moving on. Main event inside Hell in a Cell. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker, the third and final match between the two. From this time period anyway. Obviously, Brock Lesnar broke the streak at WrestleMania 30 in defeating The Undertaker, putting the 21-1 at that time. Undertaker avenging loss a year and a half later at SummerSlam, which I was at, by the way, in controversial fashion, by forcing Brock Lesnar to pass out to the Go-Go plot of the Hell's Gate, leading to one third and final match at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell no less, which they have history in. Brock Lesnar scored his only Hell in a Cell victory up to this point inside Hell in a Cell against The Undertaker a mere 13 years earlier, so that was pretty cool for them to kind of bring up that fact. And although the previous Cell match was better from O2, that was a lot bloodier, really, really brutal, this match was also really good, and easily the best match these two ever had in that time frame. In the three matches they had from 2014 to 2015, this was easily the best of the series. The WrestleMania match sucked. The SummerSlam match was better, was a lot better. This one was, I thought, really, really good. Some great hard-hitting, great hard-hitting elements of the match. There we go. To this Hell in a Cell match, Brock Lesnar coming out looking like an absolute beast, getting busted open halfway during the match. Taker having a great showing too. Nailing Brock Lesnar with a chokeslam on the exposed canvas. Well, the canvas is gone, so I guess in the exposed wood in the ring. Following it up with a tombstone, Lesnar kicking out for a great near fall. Lesnar follows up with an F5 on the exposed wood, scores the victory, and he walks out victorious. So good stuff there, and I thought it was a really, really strong match. Not what I would call the match of the year. WWE, I know, gave it the match of the year award, but not my personal match of the year, but still really, really good. And then afterwards, for about what felt like 20 minutes, Undertaker just sitting there with a, empty expression on his face. Thank you, take your chance. And then he gets attacked by the Wyatt family, who just lay a beating on him and ambush him. And then Taker was right back on Raw a few weeks later. So they never really explained why Taker was kidnapped, what happened when he was kidnapped, where he went, because he was right back on Raw, a mere 8 days later, whatever. But still, a really good match and a great way to go off the show and building to a tag team match between Wyatt and Luke Harper, the Wyatt family, and the Brothers of Destruction at Survivor Series, the 25th anniversary of Undertaker's debut in WWE. So that's it, guys. That is Hell in a Cell 2015. Overall, I give it a thumbs up, a pretty solid show, some really good matches. At that time, I probably loved it more than I probably should have, just because the product at that point in time was just not good. But I thought this was definitely one of the better pay-per-views of 2015, a very underrated pay-per-view in my mind. We had the surprise return of Del Rio, a new U.S. champion crowned, a really good women's match, a much better women's match than people give it credit for. I know probably not as good as Charlotte and Becky or the triple threat women's match from WrestleMania or this year's SummerSlam match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte, but still a really good match from that time period. Rollins and Kane served the purpose. They got it over with. Main event I thought was awesome. Reigns and Wyatt was also a really strong match and planting the seeds for Roman Reigns' pursuit of the World Championship at Survivor Series a few weeks later. So overall, really good show. Be sure to check it out on the WWE Network ahead of this year's installment of Hell in a Cell a few weeks away. So that does it, guys, for my reviews of Hell in a Cell. I talked about 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013 a few years back, so go back in the archives of the WrestleRant editions right here on the channel. Go to the playlist, and I'm sure you'll find every edition, or just type it in the search bar, Hell in a Cell 09 review, Hell in a Cell 2011 review, and just, with the tagline of WrestleRant GSM whatever, and I'm sure it'll pop up. So moving forward in my next set of videos, we'll be reviewing Armageddon, which I have yet to talk about. They've been a long time coming. I have gotten requests to do Armageddon in the past. We are finally getting to my reviews of the Armageddon pay-per-views. I cannot wait to talk about them and watch them with you guys in the weeks ahead. So until then, be sure to follow me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook. Give me an old thumbs up on the page there at facebook.com/Graham.Matthews. And right here on YouTube by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. So until next time, guys, I'm Graham Matthews, and I'll catch you fine folks down the road.